This chicken noodle soup took me a whopping 15 hours to make. But was it worth it? Stay tuned to find out. The difference between good soup and great soup is homemade stock every time. I've tested a lot of stock recipes, and the best way to make it I've found is by using chicken feet. If you can't find chicken feet, just use the same amount of chicken wings. Now this next step is optional, but I found that roasting the chicken feet gives the end stock a deeper, richer flavor. So I roasted these at 425 for about 40 minutes. Now we can start our veg. I'm gonna get 1 onion cut in half, don't even bother peeling it. Then 3 stalks of celery, cut up roughly. 3 carrots, cut up roughly, don't even bother peeling them. 1 head of garlic, cut in half, again, don't even bother to peel. Now let's add some herbs. I like using parsley and thyme, but you can use really whatever you have. And last but not least, some black peppercorns. We don't want to add salt at this stage because it's going to cook for such a long time that it'll become concentrated and just too salty. Now we can add our roasted chicken feet back into this whole shebang, cover it with water, and put it into our slow cooker. If you don't have an Instant Pot, you can do this on the stovetop, but having one is a really easy and low maintenance way to make large batches of stock. I just set mine to slow cook and let it slow cook for 12 hours. Now you might be thinking that's a lot of work to do just for stock, but it tastes 100 times better than box stock, and it's mostly hands off.
The next day
Our stock is ready to go. I like to drain mine with a cheesecloth set over a strainer just to make sure it catches any little bits, but doesn't that look absolutely stupendous? You really can't get that from box stock. Now let's get down to business and start roasting our chicken legs. The original recipe always calls for 5 chicken legs, but I never thought that was quite enough chicken for me, so I usually do around 7 or 8. We're going to cook these alongside half of an onion that we sliced pretty thick, and then make sure to season both sides of the chicken liberally with salt and pepper. Nobody wants anything bland. I gave our chicken a healthy glug of olive oil, sprinkled it with some thyme, and put it in a hot oven at 400 degrees until it's completely cooked through. If any of your onions got a little too charred during this process, just discard them. Now we can finally start cutting up our vegetables for the soup. For me, this is always the most time-consuming part because I like to use this opportunity to work on my knife skills, but this is going to be the most hands-on time of the entire soup process. We need 4 stalks of celery diced, 5 medium carrots diced, the other half of the onion chopped, 2 cloves of garlic diced, and 2 tablespoons of ginger finely diced. Now it's time to shred our chicken from the bone. Take care to get as much off as you can because we're going to stray from the original recipe here, and then I'm not going to add the chicken bones back into our stock because our stock is so flavorful, you don't really need it. So get as much of the meat off as you can. Now let's get down to business and start the soup. First, get a heavy glug of olive oil into the pan because we're going to start adding in all of our vegetables. Next, add in our carrot, celery, and onion mixture and stir everything around until everything is just softened. This shouldn't take much more than 5 to 7 minutes. Not browned, just softened. Once our vegetables are soft, add in the ginger and the garlic and stir to combine. I like adding garlic later just so it doesn't burn before everything else is cooked. Next, add some white wine and reduce. You don't have to use anything fancy, just whatever you have. Definitely don't go out of your way to get a fancy dancy wine for this. Now we're going to add in 8 cups of our homemade stock and our reserves chicken and bring everything to a boil, reduce to a simmer. Once it's simmering, put the lid back on and let it go for 2 hours. I know that seems like a long time, but trust me, this is where all the magic happens. Right before our soup is finished, we can do our noodles. So just add salt to some water. A lot, make sure it tastes like the sea pretty much. Then once the water is boiling, add your noodles and cook to package instructions. That's it. 2 hours later, would you look at how that looks? Would you look at how that looks? Tons of chicken in there. The chicken broth smells absolutely amazing. Everything's cooked and just blended together in this most delicious soup I think I've ever had. 15 hours later, it's finally time to plate. Let's get a nice helping of noodles, put them on the bottom of the bowl. When you reheat, you can always do this without reheating the noodles because the soup will reheat them. Then a nice ladling of soup, making sure to get all the chicken, the broth, the vegetables, just everything in there. And I like to end it with just a little dill. You don't have to. I just kind of like doing this. And we are all set and ready to eat. And when you look at that, so rich, so flavorful. The chicken is absolutely tender. The broth makes a huge difference. You have to make your own broth. And just from being all melded together for 2 hours, this really is one of the better chicken soups I've ever had. Thank you so much for watching. Was it worth the 15 hours? Absolutely. Leave me a comment below. Would you spend 15 hours making one soup? Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.